right, welcome back, everybody. It's been another month, I think, but you can't really blame us this time because we had a ton of holidays in between, and
we had
a
lot of stuff in between, and we're back. We're back.
Life gets busy during the holidays, and we're back. We didn't forget about you. We love you, and let's get started, man. Let's just jump right into it.
We needed a break from 2020, bros. What I feel like nothing that we could have put out would have been good enough.
Yep.
So we're here now, and I think that this is good because we can look back and cry on a lot of 2020.
What's funny is we're about a week and a half into 2021, and then I kind of feel like, we gave it a good week and a half because things went to shit in that first week.
Dude, it has me actually wishing for January 2020 again. It's kind of where I'm at right now.
January 2020 was great. January 2020, we were still going to work. We were seeing each other in person. I was still smoking.
Dude, I was traveling for work. Yep. I was in Alaska, Hawaii. It was good times.
Yep. How quickly things can change. Just like
absolutely. So, do you have good holidays, Tony? All your stuff was good. Good holidays.
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, it's not like we can attend holiday parties or anything this year. So it was from all intents and purposes, a normal Thursday and Friday. Kids got to open their gifts. They were happy. I was happy. So, yeah, all good.
That's awesome.
The one bad thing about the upcoming couple of days is I turn 40 tomorrow, and I didn't think I would ever be the type of person to really give a shit about age. But it hit me yesterday that I'm going to be 40 and that my life is essentially half over. And I'm like, man, that kind of hit me hard.
Dude, well, on the plus side, though, is that now you're going to hit a midlife crisis. You can go out and buy a really fancy car, get a cool tattoo.
I already did that. I had to sell it.
Well, then I hate to break it to you, but then you're not halfway done with your life. You're like 3/4 now. If you hit a midlife crisis a while back.
I know, right? I hit my midlife crisis in 2015, and yeah. No, it's just, I understand now. It's 2021 now. 40 is the new 30, whatever, And for all intents and purposes, looking over myself, other than, the crippling anxiety and all that, I'm doing pretty well for 40. I have nothing to complain about. So.
Yeah, but then, like I reminded you yesterday, Tom Brady's 43. So, I mean, if you look at the life choices.
What do you mean?
I'm just saying, like, Tom Brady's 43, and he's on his way to the Super Bowl, and you're 40 and you're not.
He's so not on his way to the Super Bowl. He can lick my nuts. The Bills are on their way to the Super Bowl. Fucking
damn it, you guessed your birthday present. Dude, man, big ups to Buffalo, bro.
Dude,
25 years
Buffalo,
in the making, man.
Thank you for giving me a little bit of a bright light in the year 2020. I've been a fan of you guys for decades. I don't know why I'm saying this like anyone on the Bills listens. But,
you don't know. Josh Allen could be a fan.
Hey, very well could. Josh Allen, I'm sorry for making fun of your little mustache at the beginning of the season. It clearly gave you superpowers. So I take it back. Because when I saw it during the offseason, I was like, man, what is that? Like, I can talk. It's not like I'm walking around with a lumberjack beard or anything like that. But I saw that and I was like, he looks like Michael Cera.
He did. He did look like Michael Cera.
But you know what? He now has the best stats over even Jim Kelly, and Jim Kelly's in the Hall of Fame. So
that's true. I can relate to Josh Allen with the mustache though, because I mean I got a nice burly beard, but I haven't shaved my mustache in like 6 years, and you can't even see it. Like it looks very weird. It's embarrassing.
It's like my entire attempt at facial hair then.
Yes, it is. I look Amish is where it is, basically.
So do I, so that's all right. I look like an Asian Amish.
That's pretty funny.
All right, let's get started. So the year started off, well, kind of sort of started off because it was Christmas Day.
Excuse me.
Bless you. So Christmas Day started off, and we were all excited because Wonder Woman 84, they had announced, we talked about it last episode, that Wonder Woman 84 was going to be launching in the theaters and on HBO Max as the first title with 4K HDR, Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos, all that good stuff. And I was legit excited, because we'd all been looking forward to Wonder Woman 84. And between then and now, I've watched the movie 3 times. I watched it once by myself, once with my daughter, and once again by myself, just because I needed to kind of give it a second go, just to, I don't know, not wash the taste out of my mouth, but see if I was going in there with rose-colored glasses or not. And I think you and I kind of think of this movie in the same way. What happened, dude? What happened to Wonder Woman?
Dude, it's just, it's not good. And I don't want it to sound too harsh because there's people who love it and that's cool. But, dude,
there's good
every
parts
single
in the movie.
thing.
I mean, there are bright spots in it. It's just, if you compare it to the first movie, where's that sense of gravitas? Where's that, where's the emotion? It turned into... I don't know, man. It turned into like a Marvel movie before the MCU was a thing, like one of the Daredevils or Fantastic Fours or whatever.
It just, even visually, some parts were cool, and like some fight scenes with Gal Gadot just looked shitty. Like, I mean, she looked computer, and Kristen Wiig, you have this amazing actress at Kristen Wiig who is comedic and can play these serious drama roles, and you get her as Cheetah, and you just fucking ghost her through most of the movie. So you could have Pedro Pascal, who's a great actor, but... I mean, so what, he's a fucking monkey's paw or something? Like, and dude, there's one scene that completely ruined this movie for me, and this is when I checked out both times that I watched it, and it's when they're having this amazing chase scene, and I think they're in the Middle East or in Egypt or something.
Oh, yeah.
And Gal Gadot's underneath the car, and she flies up on top of the car, and she lands, and she looks at Pedro Pascal, and she goes, can I have the stone? And I was like, wait, what? Like, was that really the first take they went with? It literally seemed like she was walking next door and asking if she could have a bottle of water.
Yeah. I know exactly the part you were talking about. I was thrilled before she said that line because I was like, man, this is great. This is an homage to Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes.
And I was like, I love it. And then it's true. All it takes is one line. All it takes is one failed look or something like that to completely ruin an entire sequence. And, props to Gal Gadot. She clearly is Wonder Woman. She plays the role well. And, as we saw in the first Wonder Woman movie, she can carry that role. But, with all due respect, no one ever mistook her for an Oscar-winning actor.
No, but I think the difference is though is that in the first Wonder Woman, she's in World War II and this is her first time being in the world. And Gal Gadot, aside from Wonder Woman, she's just not a very good actress. And in the first movie, there was a whole lot of this ensemble cast, with her, and so it wasn't as much her. And Patty Jenkins did this great story, and you got the whole Amazonians at the beginning, and it's just you got Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, but you got minimal Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Same with Batman v Superman and Justice League, and that's not a knock on her because that's what you need. So for her to carry all of Wonder Woman 84, I just didn't think that she was ready. And then you cut out Kristen Wiig, and then I didn't know what the fuck was going on, like how many wishes people were getting, and how come he had to touch people, but then all of a sudden it turned into Batman and Robin, like when Jim Carrey had the brain scanner and he was just like sucking in information and shit, and then like all of a sudden Gal Gadot can just make shit invisible. Like, I don't understand it. I don't get it. And how the fuck did Trevor there go from a World War II pilot to fucking flying a jet within seconds? Like, he didn't even know what a Pop-Tart was an hour ago. And he's fucking taking a jet off? Like, it doesn't make any sense, man. And it's just, the only part that I thought that was good was when Chris Pine was doing all the outfit changes.
Oh,
that
yeah.
shit was hilarious.
And when he thought the trash can was art.
Yeah, he's like, but dude, it just wasn't any good. And Wonder Woman flying on lightning and shit, the visual was cool the first time, but it looked like a cutscene from a video game. It just didn't look good. I felt like everybody was on autopilot, bro. Like, they were just like, it's going on HBO Max, it's not going to be in theaters, it doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. But I stand by what I text you, man. If Wonder Woman 84 came out before Wonder Woman, there wouldn't have been an Aquaman. It wouldn't have been the DC because it just is not good. My two
biggest complaints of the movie, and one of my favorite things was that she finally fucking flies, because Wonder Woman can fly, and I was like, man, how come she doesn't fly in any of the movies? I'm glad they finally did that. But my two biggest complaints was, number one, Pedro Pascal's character, Maxwell Lord. He's a big part of the comics, and he's a very sinister Trumpian villain, which they kind of played out here to a degree, but they made him a fucking genie. Let's be honest. He was an evil genie. That was the plot. That was your big supervillain plot in Wonder Woman 84.
Right. You just did this with fucking Jafar in the Aladdin remake, man. Like, dude, you made him a genie, bro.
So, I mean, what the hell? And number two, I don't think they needed Maxwell Lord and Cheetah as the villains. They could have easily made a movie with either or.
Right.
And
like what would have been what could have been cool? Sorry to cut you off because I just thought of this.
No, we're both cutting each other off. This how this works.
you run the gamut with Wonder Woman and Cheetah, and in the background you have these weird kind of events that are happening that don't really make sense, but they're small events. Then you end Wonder Woman 84 with Pedro Pascal turning around the president's chair, because why do you set the movie in 1984 and you show a president and it's not fucking Ronald Reagan? Don't set your movie in 84 and try to make it real if you're going to put some shit turd as a president. Why set it in 84 except for the opening mall scene? Like, and it wasn't.
It was like
even
a really
80s.
weird analog for Ronald Reagan. Like they knew it's 1984, so it has to be Reagan, but they've clearly didn't put a lot of effort into making the guy look or sound like Reagan.
Dude, look at Call of Duty Black Ops.
Yep.
They have Reagan in the game. You mean to tell me you couldn't have got a Reagan license for 8 minutes?
The Crown on
84?
Netflix. Have you watched The Crown?
No.
Do you know who plays fucking Reagan?
No, who?
Or not Reagan, oh no, I got it mixed up with JFK. My bad, I take it back. But on that note, do you know who fucking plays JFK? Because I can tell you right now, as much as I love The Crown, I binged all 4 seasons, they could not have picked a worse actor to portray John F. Kennedy. They picked the fucking guy that played Dexter.
Oh, Michael C. Hall?
Yep. And he's a great actor, but I don't think JFK when I see him.
He is, bro. And on Michael C. Hall thing, I was a huge fan of Dexter. Me and the wife watched the first couple seasons, and then after the Trinity killing, and they moved on with like the religious cult, and Colin Hanks was on there, I quit watching, and I heard it had just like the worst ending ever. But apparently they're coming back with season 9.
Yep. I never finished it either. I mean, I loved it with the first like 3 or 4 seasons, but I never finished it either.
Yeah, either. Because I heard about Chris Jericho ruined it for me, and this is the fuck you, Jericho, you piece of shit, because I was listening to his podcast, and then I'm like, back in the day in the first episode, he's like, well, Dexter fucking sucked, ruined the ending, blah, 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 and I was like, thanks, Jericho, dick, but I mean, at least it saved me from watching it and being disappointed. But yeah, dude, back to Wonder Woman though. It's just like you were saying. It's just it's just not good, man.
It was a mishmash. You're right. You were exactly right. It felt thrown together, which is weird to say because it clearly wasn't. The thing has been in development for what, 2 years? Mm-hmm. So I get it. It wasn't thrown together. So why did it feel so thrown together?
I laughed so hard when Gal Gadot was learning to fly. Like when she went to like put her arm forward and her arm by her hip because she looked like she was struggling. I was like, that's the most acting you've done this whole movie, and it's terrible. Like, what are you doing? Like, I just couldn't do it, man. She just looked goofy. And
remember when Superman was learning how to fly? How cool that looked.
Right,
Henry Cavill
looked cool.
Yeah,
right. Zack Snyder knew how to do it, and now I'm terrified for Patty Jenkins making a Star Wars Squadrons movie because what are we gonna get
Rogue
now?
Squadron.
Like,
Yep.
Yeah, like I'm sorry, like Patty Jenkins, you did Wonder Woman good, and you're getting all these props and everything, but what you just did is like not good, and there's a reason that they fired Josh Trank from Star Wars because his Fantastic Four movie was garbage.
Yeah.
So
which is a shame because Chronicle was so good.
Right. Well,
Such a
when
shame.
movies get edited and torn apart on the chopping floor, just like Suicide Squad or just like Justice League, that's what you get. And I mean, Josh Trank even came out and he's like, "This isn't the fucking movie I made with Fantastic Four. I don't know what the fuck this is."
I don't know this. Maybe you do. Was Patty Jenkins the screenwriter for Wonder Woman 84?
I think so.
Let's find out. While we
let's
talk,
find out.
I'll jump on IMDb right now and find out.
There you go.
So I am curious because to give her a little bit of credit, she is a good director and I like her. To give her a little bit of credit, if it wasn't her script, you can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit all the time.
Right.
You know?
Right. And not all of it was bad. I do give again, Kristen Wiig and Pedro Pascal, they looked like they were having fun in what they were doing, you know, and they knew what the movie was, and they you know, Pascal was acting his ass off. But then what's the point of having
in the beginning? I thought that was going to set the tone for the whole movie.
Dude, so did I, and and I'm like, dude, now we got like this cool 80s story that's like a chopping mall starting off here, and then it was just like womp womp.
Writing credits, Patty Jenkins and Jeff Johns, which is such a disappointment because Jeff Johns wrote so many of the great DC Comics stories in the past, I don't know, 20 years or so, and Patty Jenkins, it's just, I don't know. I guess you can't always strike gold is just the best way of putting it.
Right, and you know, again, I'm not mad about it. If I would have paid money to see it in theaters, I'd have been pissed. And I told you that too, and that's just because of me. My kids liked it. I mean, you know, they seem to enjoy it with the big action set pieces and stuff. But a telltale sign that they have no confidence in their production value in their movie is when they take these big, grandiose fight scenes and make them at night. There was no reason Cheetah and Wonder Woman needed to fight at night and then go under dark ass water. Like, did Cheetah not look good? Was the production not finished? What are we working with here? And then how come there was this gold suit that every single man could not destroy, but Cheetah just rips apart with her bare hands?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's just, and again, we're nitpicking here, but it's, you know, it's fucking Wonder Woman, man, and even the teaser scene at the end doesn't make up for the movie.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, what is up with this movie only being available to stream up until the end of January? That's not something HBO ever said was going to be a thing.
No.
When they said we're releasing all our 2021 movies to HBO Max, starting with Wonder Woman 84, they never said for a limited time. But lo and behold, I jump on Christmas Day to watch Wonder Woman 84, and it says streaming until January 24th or 28th or something.
Yep.
So what's that all about? Is it coming back? Is it... do we only get these movies for a month and then never again?
Right, like, are we gonna have to buy them? Like, what are we doing here with this? Watch, HBO Max is gonna drop another tier. I bet you,
like a premium tier.
Yeah, like an additional $5, you can get all these extra movies. Watch, I bet
I'll do it for The Matrix. I won't do it for another Wonder Woman, though.
Yeah, no. And see, that's why, and that's where. And so, long story short, it's going to lead me to the next one, because after I watched Wonder Woman, I was like, dude, this is garbage. And I didn't really have much hopes for Soul either. Only because I didn't hear a whole lot about Soul, but I heard so much about Wonder Woman.
Right.
So, but I am so glad that I watched
How good was Soul, dude?
Dude, I watched it twice unintentionally, because I watched like the first 45 minutes to an hour of it with the kids, and then they just got tired and they all kind of branched off to their own thing. And then we came back and rewatched the whole thing. And dude, it is wow.
I mean, that Soul is the type of movie with its pacing and its subject matter that I didn't think would appeal to my kids as much. Because, you know, your kids, my kids, I'm sure every kid in the world, not the world, but, you know, whatever, has seen pretty much every Pixar movie. And it's movies like The Incredibles and Monsters University and Toy Story that children get more drawn to. But the more, you know, you never hear kids talk about, I don't know, stuff like WALL-E. We love WALL-E. It's a great movie.
Yes.
But no kid will ever say WALL-E is their favorite Christmas film, because, you know, the pacing just is not really conducive to, you know, a 5-year-old. But my kids both were so into Soul, and it really surprised me. And it was just such a good movie. I mean, I have almost no complaints for that movie.
No, I can't think of any of this. And what I think, and this is how I compare Soul and Wonder Woman. Soul had so many different things going on. Like I told you, it was like, it's kind of like 3 or 4 different movies wrapped into one. Yeah, and Soul, but it did it so well, and it didn't jump all over the place. I mean, it's like Inside Out, and it's like The Secret Life of Pets, and it's like oh my god, what was it? Oh my god, and it's kind of like
jazz soundtrack.
Dude, it did. It's just there's so many different stories, because the way it starts off, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Well, this is how the movie is gonna go. You know, it's, you know, this guy is selfish. Now he's gonna find his way, but then bam, no. Now he's trying to find his purpose. Oh shit! Now he's trapped in a cat. Like, I mean, there was just, I mean, and it was so well done, and visually, Pixar is leaps and bounds ahead of anything I've ever seen. There were scenes when they were just showing the hospital room, and I was blown away. Like, I was just sitting there with my mouth open. Yeah, because. I mean,
the detail. It's just small details that you would never use as a reference for how good CGI is or computer animation. But it's stuff that just, you know, it could be something as simple as a dirt smudge on a wall.
Yeah. But it makes it look real. Dude, it does. Go on Disney Plus and just watch the first 10 minutes of Toy Story, and then watch the first 10 minutes of Soul. And, you know, just look at how good it's become. And we don't even notice that until, you know, like us, because clearly, you know, we saw Toy Story. You know, we were blown away at Toy Story 2, and then Monsters Inc. We're like, look at the fucking fur! Like, because we've seen this progress But when you take a step back and you go back and rewatch Toy Story 1 and then you look at Toy Story 4, it literally is a time capsule. It's fucking bananas. And it's just so well done. And I feel like I'm like a Pixar geek right now. Like I'm just all over Disney's dick. But dude, it is so well done. The voice acting,
they should get props for it. I agree.
They deserve it. And Jamie Foxx with the voice acting. And was it Tina Fey? No, was it Tina Fey?
It was Tina Fey. As 22. Tina Fey.
Yes, I love when he's like, "Why do you sound like a middle-aged white woman?" He's like, "I can sound like anybody I want." Like, I mean, it was just, dude, it was just so good, and I give them all the props for it. And what's cool is that if I want to watch this movie 2 months from now, I can, because Disney's not going to take it away. So, and for Disney to release this, and they didn't really hype it up. There wasn't a whole lot of advertising for it, at least that I saw.
Didn't release in the theaters either.
Right. And it gives me so much hope for what Disney's going to release. I think that we're going to see more quality from Disney than we're going to see from other streamers. And just the fact that they released Soul, they're like, whatever, man, we're just going to put it out there. But they made you pay $30 for Mulan. Like, it just shows that Disney was like, look, man, your family's going to like this movie. Just enjoy it because you're going to pay us your money eventually. So big up to Pixar. I mean, it's so good. So good.
I gotta thank George Lucas for giving us Pixar. I mean, say what you will about Star Wars over the years, but the fact that his production company invented the Pixar computer has benefited us all as humans.
Well, Lucas with the THX 1138, I mean, just having the sound. I mean, we wouldn't have the theater experiences that we have without his sound and vision and everything else that he's done. So, yeah, you ruin Star Wars and the people fucking hate you because you make me look at some weird CGI creature with big lips sing and dance in Jabba's palace. And that shit wasn't there before anyways, looking like a shitty-ass Pepsi commercial, and we can't get rid of it. But you give us great sound and visuals, so I'll allow it, man. It's okay.
Did you watch Mulan yet? Because I'm sure you remember me saying that surprised me. It was actually better than I thought.
I did not watch Mulan yet. I went to go put it on my kids. Are just kind of like, I want to see it, but I just haven't had a chance to. I haven't really watched a lot other than Soul and Wonder Woman.
You have to go into it less as this is a live-action remake of Mulan with Mushu and the singing and all that. You have to go into it less as that and more like this is like a Crouching Tiger or Hidden Dragon type movie. It's more like that.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah. I mean, it's nowhere on the level of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, don't get me wrong, but but it's more like that.
This is something that we were talking about the other day, and I'm glad that you brought up the Mulan thing because it kind of triggered me. Me and my wife were talking the other day, and when like you go back and you look at these Disney movies that they have out now, there's so much inclusion and diversity, and like the casting of the Little Mermaid with Javier Bardem and oh my god, I can't think of the girl's name who's playing Ariel now. Haley.
I know,
Berry.
me either. I can't remember the name. I'm just glad it pisses off all the racists.
Right, and then we were talking, and we brought it up. It's like, if you go back and look at the Disney stuff from the day, you would be hard-pressed to find anything with anybody of color or any kind of ethnicity whatsoever.
That wasn't a caricature, because let's be honest, Sebastian was basically a walk. Sebastian may as well have been in blackface.
Dude, absolutely. I mean, really. But
I have to interrupt.
Dude, please.
So my ex sends me a picture yesterday, and she goes, "Look what your son did to himself." And the picture is of my son, face completely covered in brown paint. And I went, no fucking way. Did he just do blackface?
That's bad.
Because it would have been innocent, let's be honest. He would have been like, I'm trying to be Black Panther or something. And, just playing dress up. It would have been something like that. So I meant it mostly as a joke. She goes, no, he painted himself to look like the dog.
That's funny.
And I laughed for probably a good half hour. It was the most hilarious shit I've ever seen.
Well, dude,
but he looked like Al Jolson in The Jazz Singer from the 20s.
Oh my god! You got to delete that picture. You're gonna get canceled.
Oh, I know exactly. No, I'm keeping it for my own hilariousness.
That's amazing, dude. You can't let him hang out in the kennel with the dogs anymore. Like when you sent me the picture
seriously.
The signs were there.
And I begged my ex. I was like, please don't post that.
You're gonna get canceled, bro.
Oh man.
Anyways, but like speaking of the casting with the Sebastian, Daveed Diggs, who's doing Sebastian in the Little Mermaid movie, dude, I'm so stoked that he's gonna be in this movie because he's from Hamilton.
Yeah.
Yes, and he also did. So he's just doing the voice. But one of my favorite like HBO movies they've ever done is Tour de Pharmacy. Have you ever seen this?
No, I've never even heard of it.
Okay, so when we get done with this podcast, you have to go watch it. It's like a 50-minute movie.
It's on HBO Max?
It's on HBO Max. It's an HBO Sports original. It's got Andy Samberg, Orlando Bloom, John Cena, Jeff Goldblum. It's got, I mean, it is so fucking funny. And what it's about.
It's Daveed Diggs. He's the one who plays Sebastian. So the fact that he's playing Sebastian and he's in this movie in the Tour de Pharmacy, and that's when I first saw him. And dude, you have got to see that. It is so funny because they got Andy Samberg, Orlando Bloom, Freddie Highmore, Joe Buck, Nathan Fielder, John Cena, James Marsden, Maya Rudolph, Danny Glover, Mike Tyson, Jeff Goldblum. Damn, what a cast.
Lance Armstrong is actually in the movie too, making fun of himself. And it's all about like the Tour de France when it went through this one year, and every single person somebody was like, it's about doping in the cycling, and somebody said, hey, every single person got suspended. You're all going to fail your drug test because you're all doing drugs unless you pay me money. And it turns out that only like 7 people who weren't doing drugs actually got to be in the Tour de France. So they call it the Tour de France. Dude, you just have to fucking watch it.
I just added it. I'm looking at the picture right now, and freaking Andy
John
Samberg
Cena
just looks ridiculous.
Dude, there's a part where Orlando Bloom is riding his bike and he pulls his dick out to pee, and it's only like 50 minutes long. It's not that long at all, but I've seen it 4 or 5 times whenever I would travel. Like whenever I travel,
the narrator.
Yes, dude. And it's funny because it's a documentary. Like they're interviewing Venus and Serena Williams, like Andy Samberg. Yes, that's it. Dolph Lundgren plays the older version of John Cena.
Oh my God, that is brilliant.
And Jeff Goldblum plays the older version of Andy Samberg. So that's how they're doing it. So they're interviewing them, then they're going back and talking about like, you know, the Tour de France that they were all in. And it's an actual narration.
Remember her?
So
she was in like
funny.
every 90s movie. Did we just lose connection again? Oh yeah, we did. Sorry folks, let's get connected back. Here we go. Yo.
I don't know what happened.
I don't know. It happens once or twice per episode at this point. I think our listeners know to expect it. But I was saying, Julia Ormond's in it. Wasn't she in like every 90s movie? Remember her? I thought she was done acting.
Yes.
So what were we talking about? Okay, so yeah, this is on my list now. I'm definitely going to watch it. Even if it were a shitty movie, just the cast right there is worth my 40 minutes.
Jeff Goldblum is at his Jeff Goldblum best in this movie, man. You gotta see. It is, man, because Andy Samberg plays a white guy from South Africa, and he's the first ever African to be in the Tour de France. And that's it. And I'll just let you figure that out. And oh yeah, he was also the adopted white stepbrother of Venus and Serena Williams. She says, like, dude. She says it's like the whatever that fucking sound. It's like The Blind Side, except reverse. And that's how they describe it with Andy Samberg. So you just gotta
Andy
watch it,
Samberg's character being the first African in the Tour de France is like that scene in Mean Girls when Tina Fey's like, "Oh, we have a new student from Africa. Hello," and she immediately says hi to the black girl.
Oh my God! That's funny. Holy shit, that's right.
All right, let's move on to some DCEU news that dropped. Then everyone took it way too far, and now it had to be pulled back a little bit. So we got the news that moving forward, Michael Keaton will be the main Batman, like the like Earth One Batman, for lack of a better term, in the DCEU movies. And everybody went, "Me too." I'll admit when I do this. So I read that news and I went, "Yeah, we're gonna get a bunch of Batman movies with Michael Keaton again." And then DC had to go, "Whoa there, Turbo. That is not what we said. We just said his character will be the main Batman. We're not getting a bunch of Batman movies." So that's kind of a bummer, but you know, it's my own fault. I hyped myself up.
Well, I did too. I was like, "Oh my God, I'm so giddy about this." I legit text you the word giddy, and that's how I felt about that. And
because Michael Keaton, despite his age, can still go. I mean, he proved it with The Vulture.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, anybody can still go. I mean, look at fucking Robert Downey Jr. played Iron Man. You know what I mean? So like now,
after all he had to overcome,
yeah, You don't have to be a fucking Rock Hudson, actor into their, or like a Shatner in Star Wars trying to be 60 and all, sucking in your gut, trying to be like, you don't have to do that anymore. We have CGI, we have personal trainers and diets. Keaton can still do it, like you said, with Vulture. He still has his comedic chops. I'm gonna tell you right now, Michael Keaton has some of the funniest lines in the other guys, and we've talked about the other guys on this podcast before.
Oh, yeah.
But Michael Keaton and the other guys, I will laugh hard, tears in my eyes when Mike Keaton's like, all right, guys, bring it in. Okay, too close, back it up. All right, come a little bit. No, wait, back it up. Okay, good. Like,
and what's funny is his comedy style has changed completely than what he was when he was Beetlejuice. He's absolutely this dark humor, tongue-in-cheek guy now.
Oh, he is. And I'll tell you right now, if you guys have not watched Mr. Mom in the recent, 10 years, go back and watch Michael Keaton in Mr. Mom. Just the part where he's going out with all the moms to the male strip club, and he gets out of the car with all the moms. He's like, hey, I think this is for you. And she goes, what's that? She goes, it's the stripper's number. I don't want it. It's just fucking hilarious, man. The vacuum going wild through the house. It's just peak. You forget Michael Keaton was a comedic actor before he became Batman. And Tom
that's why
Hanks
everybody was pissed when he was Batman.
Right. Oh, this comedic actor can't do it. Tom Hanks was from Bachelor Party, The Man with One Red Shoe, Joe versus the Volcano, Turner and Hooch, The Burbs. Right. And then now Tom Hanks is known as Forrest Gump, the serious, two-time Oscar guy. So, it's cool to go back and see what these people can do. And you forget, man, Michael Keaton can do it. And I think him, as an older Batman, doing it in these movies is going to be perfect because you get that appreciation when you go back and you watch the old Batman movies. When you watch Batman Returns, which to this day is still the best Batman movie.
It looks
perfect as a Batman movie.
The route they're going to go now with the Flashpoint story, because the Flash is the first time Michael Keaton's coming back. It looks like instead of having Thomas Wayne be Batman, like in the comics, it looks like they're going to go with this other Earth Batman that is older, that is more world weary, kind of like a Batman Beyond type deal.
Right.
Which is kind of a disappointment because having Thomas Wayne as Batman has that impact of the very final scene in the comics where Flash has to give Bruce Wayne a note that Thomas wrote for him to take back, and Batman just breaks down in tears. And he says, thank you, Barry. Thank you for this. It's going to take away the impact of that. But I'm sure.
But what if they've already laid the groundwork for that from before with Affleck? Because now, hear me out on this. Because in Justice League, when the Flash came back and woke up Bruce Wayne with, "Oh, it hasn't happened yet," and he runs away.
Batman v Superman.
That shit never got explained. What the fuck was he even talking about? So. So maybe that's something that's going to have to do with this. So maybe that right there is him going back, trying to find the time where he has to give up the note. Like, oh, shit, it hasn't happened yet because you're here. You know what I mean? So maybe that's what they're doing, which would be cool. But I think that we haven't yet seen, except a glimpse of it in The Dark Knight Rises, of what a person like Batman would be like after years and years of what's been going on. Like, I get it, you're this billionaire playboy. We did see it with Batman v Superman,
and everyone hated it, apparently.
Right, I love seeing
Everyone
Affleck.
cried about it.
Right, I don't know why I keep saying Affleck like that, but I love seeing Ben Affleck. As I always do. I love seeing, I thought his Bruce Wayne was the best Bruce Wayne that we've seen, in my opinion.
His Bruce Wayne was the first one where it was believable. I mean, no offense to Christian Bale and Michael Keaton and fucking Val Kilmer and Clooney, whatever. No offense to those guys, but he looked like Batman. He looked like what I would imagine, a Bruce Wayne would look like.
Right, and he kind of looked, worried, worldly travel, beaten down. That's how you want him to look. This is a man who has fought the most sinister of people.
When he was Bruce.
Right, and that's how he should be. And we haven't really seen that yet. And Christian Bale, a little bit, where he's like, oh, don't worry, I just bought the hotel. But you were more of like a prick than you were. But he was the good Batman for that time. So that's where it's like, I think Christian Bale is the best, quote-unquote, Batman. Ben Affleck was the best, Bruce Wayne. I think Michael Keaton is the best total package.
It's funny that you brought up the whole Affleck thing, because I just re-upped my Affleck at work.
That's funny. Always sticking with us.
Yep, exactly. What was I gonna say? I think you hit that nail on the head. The Christian Bale was a fantastic Batman for the Occupy era, 2008, 2006, whatever. And his Batman was phenomenal. And I just watched The Dark Knight the other day. That's my favorite movie of all time. And I watched it for the first time in like, I don't know, a year or so. And it, it's a freaking 12-year-old movie now, but it still holds up incredibly well. And it was so well done. And Ben Affleck is a really good Bruce Wayne, because he has that level of douchiness that's not too far. So you dislike him, but like him.
Exactly. Where you're like, dude, come on. Like, you're kind of a dick, but you're like, I can still hang out with you.
Yeah, but he's Bruce Wayne. I bet he would be fun at a party.
Absolutely. You're like, hey, you might buy me a Lamborghini. So, you know, we'll do it. But that's where you also have to, though, when you look at like The Dark Knight Rises and you look at The Dark Knight and you look at Batman Begins, that's just they're great Batman movies, and they're just amazing Christopher Nolan movies.
Yep.
And that's the difference when you get Batman Batman versus Superman, or you get Justice League. They become these massive CGI spectacles, and it's really difficult to get into the whole like, this is the greatest detective ever thing, and that's why for me I really enjoyed The Dark Knight Rises. It had massive stakes, but the biggest, craziest thing was the airplane to China, and then all of a sudden the same Batman has a fucking jet that flies and he's battling parademons. So which is fine. I love that aspect of it too. But Nolan was just so good at keeping it grounded that people didn't like The Dark Knight Rises. They didn't like it because of Tom Hardy with the mask. But this is too big, or the spectacle, and this and this and this, and the gripe about it. But when you compare that to Batman versus Superman, and these other bigger spectacles, The Dark Knight Rises is a phenomenal, underappreciated Batman movie, and I think it's just as good, if not better, than Batman Begins. It's not The Dark Knight. It's not clearly The Dark Knight, right? The Dark Knight, but it's just as good. And when you look at what Bane does and how he does it, it's like, that's a Batman movie. So Nolan gets all these props for his movies and for making Christian Bale such a badass Batman, because he can write those as opposed to writing those pieces for Bruce Wayne. And I think that's why it's like that Batman aspect of it was so cool. And Snyder is really good at writing, character pieces. Like 300 is this great action spectacle, but you're following Leonidas on this tale where about him and you feel for him and you want to be there, and he gives him a human quality, and that's what Snyder does with Affleck. He gives him a human quality and gives him this whole character.
But then you get Sucker Punch.
Yes, which is Jesus. Oh my God.
Look, I'll give credit where credit was due, because I saw Sucker Punch for the first time a week ago. I've never seen the movie, and I've always wanted to, just because I'm a dirty old man. So I watched it, and visually it's pretty cool. I mean, say what you will, Zack Snyder and his visuals are definitely something to be impressed by. But my God, what the hell? How did that movie even get off the ground?
There's a lot of stuff that's like that by a lot of directors out there, and it's really kind of interesting that that those are out there. But Sucker Punch especially, and then you look at someone like Zack Snyder, who gets credit for making great movies, and you see something like Sucker Punch, and you're like, that's terrible.
Yeah.
But everybody does it. I mean, there are people now who look at Peter Jackson with Lord of the Rings, and I just finished the fucking Return of the King last night. God, so good. And you look at what Peter Jackson did, but then you also got to remember Peter Jackson made Dead Alive and Bad Taste, which are
that's right.
Some of the most offensive things you can find that are just like, what normal human being would make this?
Yep.
So, But I like Snyder movies, man, and I'm excited for this next thing on the list. With the Snyder Cut coming out, dude. Like, I'm glad that we finally got, like they said, March
2021. It's that could easily change, as we've found out with Wonder Woman 84. Stuff can just get moved around, or the Bond movie, for Christ's sake. But tentatively so, it's coming out March 2021, which is good. That's only in 2 months. I've said this before, and a lot of people who know me personally know this. When Justice League first was announced and it started production, it was probably, other than the Lord of the Rings trilogy when I was like a freshman in college, probably one of the few movies in my life where I kept up with online news and stuff for its production from beginning to end. So the Snyder Cut means a lot to me, because that's the version I thought I was getting, and obviously we didn't, and we won't get into that. So I'm really, really, really excited for this fucking 4-hour cut that we're about to get, which apparently we're only going to get for a month, because HBO Max is pulling that shit.
You know, I'm also disappointed, too, that HBO Max said they were going to start having HDR 4K movies in 2021, and all I have is Wonder Woman 84.
Yeah, so I honestly thought they were going to go back and retroactively add 4K for all these fucking movies and TV shows that already had 4K. I know they already
Lord
had
of the
4K
Rings.
because I watched Titans on DC Universe when it was still a thing in 4K. So I know it's there.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
don't tell
absolutely.
me it's not as easy as flipping a switch, because I know it's as easy as flipping a switch.
Yeah. I feel like
It's
you
already
know,
there.
last podcast we're sitting here, we're like, HBO Max is changing shit, and they're awesome. Now we're like, fuck HBO Max, y'all garbage. You didn't do what the fuck you said you were going to do, pieces of shit.
We're so spoiled.
Guys, just so you know, we're allowed to change our opinions on a minute-by-minute basis, all right? It's going to
It's
happen.
like my TV. It's like my TV. I don't know if I brought this
Oh
up the
my
last
God.
episode, because I don't know if I bought the TV yet. But I bought a new Sony X900H because my old TV decided to fuck up on me. And two of the things that were promised were variable refresh rate and ALLM, which is two cool next-gen type features. A variable refresh rate, for those that don't know, is a way to kind of fudge a consistent frame rate when the frame rate drops. So instead of a developer, say, locking a game to 30 FPS, you know, for technical purposes, they can now have a range. It can now be locked, or not locked. It can now have, a game can now say, I don't know, they can push a game out between 40 and 60 frames per second, and VRR will take care of it and make it look consistent. So that's a cool thing to have. ALLM, I don't really give a shit about. It's the thing where, you know, the TV will recognize a PS5 and it'll automatically switch its settings to PS5, which doesn't affect me one bit because I already have my PS5 set up and it already turns the TV on and switches to HDMI 4, so whatever. But now, apparently, with everything that's going on with my X900H model, they're like, yeah, we're not going to do VRR and ALLM anymore. And they pulled all that information. Now, we don't know if that's a for sure or if it's just a thing like, you know, we're pushing it back further, you're not getting it now. So I don't really care. These are two features I don't really see myself using too much. And for all intents and purposes, the TV is gorgeous and I'm glad I got it. But it kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth, such as with these streaming services or with game consoles or whatever, when they say you're getting something. So I spend the money to get this thing. And then they say, just
You
kidding.
don't get it.
Yeah. So I'm not going to
Just
go
like-
and
just like you
riot. I'm
spend
not
all
going to
this money
jump on
buy
Twitter.
Cyberpunk and
Oh, yeah, exactly. I'm not going to jump on Reddit and badmouth. And, you know, it is what it is. You know, I'm a grown-up. I made these decisions knowing this is a thing that could happen. So whatever. You know, I intend to keep my TV. It's a great TV. It just kind of sucks that I won't be getting it and that, you know, maybe this TV isn't as future-proof as I thought it was going to be. So that's my piece. And that's why I'm so spoiled about HBO Max.
Yeah, I don't know, man. HBO Max they keep leaving a bad taste in my mouth, man.
It kind of does, doesn't it? You never hear me complain about Disney Plus this way or Netflix or Hulu. But HBO Max keeps making decisions where I'm just scratching my head going, huh, really?
Well, and I think it's just the cost too. Like, I mean, it's $14.99 to have HBO Max, and you don't get HDR, you don't get 4K.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of a pain in the ass when you can
just
have.
seems way too behind with that. I mean, tech is a big part of this.
I mean, Peacock. You can get Peacock for free and get, you know, and just get regular HD, the same stuff you get on HBO Max with a couple ads, or you can pay $5 and have no ads. Why wouldn't I just?
Speaking
get
of
Peacock?
which, we talked about this the other day. So I was, you know, when The Office was leaving Netflix, I mean, obviously everyone made a big deal out of it because The Office has been on Netflix for over 10 years.
Yep.
And so I was like, okay, whatever. It's going to Peacock. It'll be free because, you know, I watched all of Parks and Rec on Peacock, so it's not a big deal. All of Saved by the Bell. It is what it is. And then I come to find out that it's only the first 2 seasons, and the rest of it is behind a paywall. So that kind of pissed me off, and I'm sure pissed a lot of people off because for the past, 11, 12 years, it was free for, well, you know, you had to pay for Netflix, but it was whatever. So I just went on and bought the entire series for $30 on iTunes just to spite NBC.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
Yeah, it was only $29.99. It was actually a really good deal. I believe it might still be $29.99 on iTunes and Vudu and all that. So if you guys want to be, you know, freedom fighters and stick a finger to NBC, go ahead and buy The Office. Which
That's
is
what I
officially
did.
the weirdest thing I've ever said in my life.
Well, it's funny that people get mad. It's been there for 10 years. You could have watched it from beginning to end over the past 10 years. Why are you mad?
Which
now?
I have, so I may as well buy it because, streaming isn't forever. We know this. I mean, all it takes is for a freaking outage on your servers and you don't get to watch it.
That's right.
So whatever.
Well, that's where we're going, man. It's where we're headed.
Yep. So, but yeah, I'm excited. I'm hoping it keeps the March 2021 date. I know they put a ton of money into completing this. Speaking of which, my God, this drama between Ray Fisher and Warner Brothers is it's never going to end, is it?
I don't think he likes Joss Whedon too much.
No, and and for the record, I'm on Ray Fisher's side. It's just I feel like DC or Warner Brothers could really be handling this better. Because right now, in 2020, is not the time you want to be seen as the big, ugly corporation, going up against a disgruntled black guy. And I know it's not just that. That's really not giving Ray Fisher credit for all he had to deal with. But let's be honest, that's what 90% of the people watching the news is going to see.
Yeah, and the shitty part about that is I feel like there's not enough people who are coming out supporting it. And, John Boyega did it, and other actors and actresses have done it as well. And it seems like they kind of get blackballed because you get to these situations where it's not just the male actors of color. It's with female actors. It's with like T.R. Knight when he was getting harassed and hounded when he was on Grey's Anatomy that he had to leave acting because people kept calling him names. Or when you have, it's just, Neil Patrick Harris was afraid to come out because of how he would be treated, that he had to play this over misogynistic character.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And Gal Gadot did come out to support Ray Fisher, but it felt like it was not her fault, but it just felt like it was just swept under the rug so quickly that Gal Gadot is supporting Ray Fisher. That should have been a much bigger deal.
Absolutely. But Gal Gadot also did try to get a bunch of celebrities to sing Imagine.
This is true.
Throughout Twitter and TikTok, and it was fucking terrible. So, she's not the best one with ideas. But you are right though. I mean, more people aren't coming out, and it's just a matter of, I feel like people of any kind of minority in the entertainment business feel like they don't have a voice. And if Disney turns their back on you, then who's going to work with you? If Warner Brothers turns their back on you, then what are you going to do? So you can't have a voice, and that's what sucks. So Ray Fisher coming out, absolutely, man. Speak out what you got. Gal Gadot, if you saw it, speak out. Ben Affleck, if you saw something, speak out. Like, you should be able to stand in solidarity with your brother who's there, who's saying what happened.
That's why what John Boyega did is so ballsy, and I have the utmost. He could fucking kick kittens from here on out, and I would respect the shit out of him because he basically knew he was potentially going to commit career suicide and went, look, this is more important.
Yeah, absolutely, and I agree with him 100%.
Oh yes.
And there is nothing wrong with what he's doing, and I think that more people should do that. And it's really stupid that some people can tell you just shut up and stick to what you're doing. This isn't your thing.
Yep,
and
dribble.
Others
just
are
shut up and
to
dribble.
Yeah, just shut up and dribble. What do you know? You're just you don't know anything. You're just a basketball player. What does the president know? He was just a failed celebrity. So how the fuck? Who are you to tell somebody what they can and can't say?
Exactly.
So I think that if Ray Fisher wants to come out and speak his mind, and John Boyega does because they want to stand up for what's right, then they should, and they should not lose casting or lose favor in the eye of a distributor because of what he stands for. Because
Agreed.
It's really stupid. Because if you stand idly by and you're silent, then you just become compliant with what's going on.
Yeah.
And at the very least, it should warrant an investigation from studio people or just something. And it's just sad to see that, because how many other actors, couldn't speak out against things? How many other actresses couldn't speak out against things? And it's just,
man, how far has Joss Whedon fallen?
Yes.
He was everyone's golden child. He was responsible for Buffy and Angel. He was the reason why the MCU became what it became. And then all of a sudden, this shit comes out. And, the signs were always there. Do you remember his whole involvement with Wonder Woman before the DCEU was even a thing?
I do. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he says some pretty fucked up shit. I was actually just looking into it a week or so ago.
Yeah, he had a script for Wonder Woman back before any of the, Christopher Nolan movies or anything like that. And it was like hands down one of the most misogynistic movies you could ever think of. And I was like, dude, you don't get Wonder Woman. And it's kind of disturbing that this is how you think of this character. But everyone back then was kind of like, whatever, not everybody can have a hit
Oh,
every
well, he did
every
Buffy and
single time.
Angel. He knows better.
Yeah, exactly. He knows strong female characters. And to put forth this shit as a script for arguably one of the strongest female characters in all of media was kind of disappointing. So the signs were there that he's maybe not all that he seems, you know. And again, this is just shit I'm getting online. Take it with a grain of salt. But, you know, it's disturbing to see this.
Well, that's just like Max Landis. Or John Landis, one of the fucking Landises, they're a piece of shit too.
Yep.
Like just the way they sexually exploit women and stuff. Like, I mean, just you can have good art, but if you're a piece of shit, you're a piece of shit, and your art should become null and void. You know, and I mean, and that's just how I look at it. And you know, like, don't get me wrong, Chris Benoit had great wrestling matches, but as far as I'm concerned, fuck him and fuck his entire career for what he did. I mean, that's just me. I probably have said that before, and you know, your art can only go so far once you become a shit person.
There is a line you can't cross because you can only say, look, I separate the art from the artist from, you know, that only works to a certain degree because at some point when you've done horrible things to that many kids, it's uncomfortable listening to Michael Jackson anymore.
Right, absolutely.
You know? So.
And it's just, it's hard. It really is difficult on what decision to make. And even when it comes to like Michael Jackson stuff, for instance, like, you know, all this stuff came out against him, but if Michael Jackson would have never just paid off the first lawsuit and just got everybody to shut up like his attorneys told him to do and just would have fought it, got it proven not guilty, nobody else would have come out after him. So, I mean, how, like, that one new guy who did the documentary on HBO, like The Forgetting Neverland or something.
Yeah.
Like, bro, if this shit is real and this is what you're saying, where the fuck were you 10 years ago when he was still alive? Where were you when these trials were going on? Where was your family? Like, you missed your chance. You're null and void. Fuck out of here.
Oh,
Give
brought
me
up
actual proof as opposed to a couple pictures.
You brought up Chris Benoit, and this is a really weird segue, but I caught up on a little bit of AEW, and my God, how is it that they can work with Impact so well and have these, for lack of a better term, universe jumping storylines where it's kind of like a multiverse coming together? I mean, you had the fucking Good Brothers show up on AEW, and they basically reformed the Bullet Club, and I geeked out harder than I did for any comic book movie seeing that shit. Right. And you have WWE just because you know what? It wasn't that long ago when WWE was doing secret invasions with ECW. You remember that?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
So they did that shit too. So how could they be so comfortable in their little shell watching Impact and AEW work together so well?
Because they don't watch AEW and Impact because they live in their own universe. And I don't know if you know this, but they have this new up-and-coming starter that they're pushing at the Royal Rumble. Is the name of Goldberg, this new guy.
Oh, yes.
Pushing him right to the top. Jesus Christ, dude. Like, AEW brings back Sting, which is awesome. But you know what? Sting just stands there, looks, says a couple promos, has a good time, hasn't touched anybody. Yeah, and you know, and he's just Sting. You're like, fuck, he's there. Goldberg shows up, shoves down Universal Champion, and goes straight to the top and has a Universal Championship match at the Royal Rumble. Like, really? Fuck off, dude. Nobody wants to see that shit. I tried giving WWE the benefit of the doubt, man, and I feel like they don't care anymore. You know, and it's sad because AEW cares, and they are doing so good. Like, I mean, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, the Butcher and Blade, Eddie Kingston,
Darby Allin.
You've got Darby. Oh my God, Darby Allin,
fucking
the best
Darby
friends.
Allin, dude.
Darby Allin's one of my favorite dudes, man. I love Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy is fucking badass. Dude.
I fucking cringe every time I see the coffin drop because that just looks like it could go wrong at any second.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But you got these people who are in these interesting storylines, and then you have your company, which is basically being ran by Cody Rhodes, who was told you're going to be Stardust, and that's it. Okay, nobody cares about you. Who is now 230 pounds, looks like carved out of fucking rock, dude. And he is putting on the best matches. And AEW just did their.
I'm so fucking jealous he's married to Brandy.
Man, AEW just did their what the hell is it? Oh my god, their Brody Lee Memorial Night. R.I.P. Brody Lee. First of all,
Yeah.
With AEW, dude, it's heartbreaking. But apparently AEW knew he was sick for a while. They kept it behind because he didn't want anybody to know. But just to talk about how good of a company AEW is, a couple weeks ago, after they got done doing their Wednesday night Dynamite and went off air, they filmed an angle in a match with Brody Lee's oldest son in a match, and he wrestled Kenny Omega and beat Kenny Omega for the title. And like they didn't announce it, they didn't do anything at all,
and they retired the fucking
Brody
title.
And his family. Right, and then that's it. So he is TNT champ forever. I mean, they got all their stuff they're gonna figure out, of course, storyline, blah blah blah. But I mean, to do that for him, and then to see the wrestlers from WWE reach out, and for one week, the entire wrestling world came together for Brody Lee. And when they did their Brody Lee night the other night, you're sitting there and I'm watching this show, and they are highlighting talent that I've never even heard of, and these people are out there putting on amazing matches. The athletes are great, the storylines are great. I mean, AEW is on fire right now. They know what they're doing. They're in touch with everybody. They need all the viewership they can get because
can you imagine if WWE just unclenched for a second and allowed a crossover with Impact and AEW? Can you imagine fucking Finn Balor and AJ Styles showing up at a Dynamite episode, and then the Good Brothers and Young Bucks and Kenny Omega rush in, and they all do Too Sweet, like the original Bullet Club coming together?
Yeah.
Can you imagine the freaking geekgasm all wrestling fans would have if they saw that?
Mm-hmm. But Vince doesn't want that.
No. And it's too bad because, I mean, I don't know. That's as soon as I saw when you sent me that text, as soon as I saw that the Good Brothers showed up and they did the Too Sweet, I was like, oh my God, there has to be a way to get AJ Styles and Finn Balor involved in this. Yeah. But I knew it wasn't going to happen.
No, but it's just really, really cool that AEW is paying homage to these factions. They're not pretending that they never
other
existed.
Factions from like New Japan and Ring of Honor and know all these other. Speaking of which, have you watched that Pro Wrestling Guerrilla Blu-ray I let you borrow?
Parts of it. I watched the first two matches. Really
Isn't
good.
It good?
Man. I just like good wrestling. It's really good. Oh my God,
yes. It's so good, and you have and since it was like I don't know, like 3 or 4 years ago. I mean, you have all these names that are now big names. It was really cool to see them, quote unquote, at their start. Yeah,
dude, it really is, and they got like Cody outside of WWE and fucking Adam Cole and Kim. It's cool to see these things because for me, I never really got into New Japan. That wasn't really my thing. I just stayed with WWE, and AEW has showed me a lot more of that stuff, and it's cool to go back and see where they came from and how they started, and it's awesome, dude. I mean,
I can't wait till you get to the Zack Sabre Jr. match. I mean, that guy needs to be a bigger name,
dude. Absolutely, and I think that right now, AEW is going to be the one to give them those chances, just like TNT and WCW did with their cruiserweights and with all that kind of stuff. So it's really, really, really cool to see what they're doing and how they're doing it.
Yeah,
and I just hope they keep doing it.
I would not be surprised. I would be shocked if Zack Sabre Jr. or Will Ospreay showed up in WWE, but I wouldn't be shocked if they showed up on AEW. I would be like, "Yep, this is what I expected," because this is the type of wrestling and the type of company. Like you said, this was what WCW was doing with the Japanese and Mexican wrestlers and cruiserweights back in the day. So I would absolutely expect to see some shit like that. But
and I think AEW, people are like, oh, it's like a WCW 2.0. They're letting the talent run it, blah blah blah. Yes, but the difference is the talent that's there now. They've been other places, and they're not here because they were promised huge paychecks. They're here because they were promised freedom, and they don't want to end up like WCW. When you let them run what they're doing and give them the freedom to show that you can trust them, they don't have an ego. Their ego's checked at the door. That's why you have a Darby Allin going over a Cody Rhodes for the TNT title, because he's not looking at Darby Allin as like, oh, you don't fucking matter, I'm here to make more money than you, kid. He's like, yeah, man, because I can see something with you in 3 to 4 years.
Yep.
And it's just it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And I give Tony Khan and his family and everything all the respect for what they're doing with AEW. And they just showed the respect they have for the wrestling business with what they did for Brody Lee on their appreciation night.
It's just cool to see Tony Khan, who was basically a wrestling super fan, but he gets it. Because we've all had that fantasy, I guess, for if you will, of if we were the booker suddenly one day, what we would do. We all armchair booked at some point. Well, Tony Khan gets to live out that fantasy, and he's basically doing it right.
Dude, absolutely. And what I like that Tony Khan is doing now is he's not interjecting himself into storylines. He's not trying to do that. He's just sitting behind the scenes, staying back. And I think that, it worked for WWE because Vince McMahon was the first to do it. And it worked a little bit, but, look at Bischoff and with WCW and what happened with the storylines. Like, it just, it fizzled out. So I think stay away from it. You can be on TV if you need to be, but don't. Just keep yourself out of it. Yeah. Keep yourself out of the limelight. Don't Vince Russo it, and just have fun.
Yep. All right, let's move on to some gaming news. We don't have a ton of gaming news because we're going to do a recap of the year at the end of this, and I think that's going to take up quite a bit of time. But this is big news, but not big news, sort of, this next thing. So Codemasters Racing, they're the ones that are behind your Dirt franchise. Your let's see, they do Dirt, they do Formula One. They do all these really, really good Simcade franchises that are not, AAA tier like your Forzas or your Gran Turismos, but they're probably the next tier down. And then under them is, maybe your Burnouts or Need for Speeds or whatever. So Codemasters has been around. They're a UK-based company. They were the ones that did the Colin McRae rally games from way back in the day that I absolutely fucking loved. EA bought them. So EA now owns some of the biggest racing franchises in gaming. Grid, Dirt, Formula One, these are now EA properties, which means very possibly these could all be coming to Game Pass.
Oh, they will be coming to Game Pass because they're going to, because they have Forza right now. And, that's really the only kind of racing thing they have.
On Game Pass? Right? Yeah, pretty much that's it.
So, it's interesting.
And a couple Need for Speed games.
Yeah. Microsoft is fucking buying everything up, man.
I know. They can and they're gonna.
Yeah, they're going to become the Disney. And they're just gonna fucking own everything, and there's nothing wrong with that because we've said
they kind of have to because they're not going with exclusives. You have Sony putting out AAA, Oscar-worthy, for lack of a better phrase, exclusives like Last of Us and Spider-Man and whatever, and Microsoft is going in a different route. So what's the way to ensure that the competition can't do what they do? Is buy up any studios that the competition can use.
Well, and this is where they're future-proofing themselves. Microsoft is, because they're like, look, man, you're going to buy our systems because they're going to focus on the hardware and the power. They don't have to focus on gaming. What do they? Their exclusives are Halo, Forza, Gears, not a whole lot. So of course, everybody will go because you can go out. Right. Well, you can go out right now, buy yourself an Xbox Series S if you can find one, plug it in, and you're going to have access to thousands of games. That's it. And they don't care. They're going to have it. You're going to get your PlayStation, and this is why I have my PlayStation. And when you get your PlayStation, you're going to spend $60 up to $200 for kits, and you're going to get that for The Last of Us too. And then you're going to get that for Ghost, and you're going to get that for Horizon, and you're going to get that for Uncharted, and you're going to get that for God of War and for Spider-Man, and you're going to get, like you said, these Oscar-winning exclusives. So this makes sense that Microsoft is doing it because on the game front, they have nothing. And we've said this before. There is not a fucking thing that I want to play on the Xbox that I can't play on the PlayStation.
Yeah, there was no system seller. In fact, there was pretty much no exclusive. Everything was third party on launch, and I was totally okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And what's cool that Xbox did, like they're taking these games and they'll take the older Codemasters games that they have and they'll upconvert them and make them so much nicer. Yep. Just like when I went through and I'm playing
auto HDR, 4K upconversion.
Yes, it's just beautiful that the Xbox does that. They're upscaling their upconversion for games, like just going back and playing old Wolfenstein Old Blood, like going through and playing that game that's like 6 years old. It looks amazing, plays amazing.
Fucking Geometry Wars looks better with auto HDR.
Yeah. It does, and it's just, and that's the system that every single person, if you're a gamer, every single person will have that game. That system. They'll have an Xbox because of these games right here, and I think it's cool, man. Big ups to EA for doing this. I think it's, and I don't play Forza. I'm not a Forza guy, but I like more fun stuff like this, and this will be right up my alley.
Are you getting Hitman 3?
Oh yeah, because I bought Hitman 1 and 2, and I get them up to next gen for free, and I'm getting the third.
Which system are you getting Hitman 3 for? I'm trying to decide.
I think I got them on the PlayStation.
Yeah, the only reason why I'm leaning toward PlayStation is because it'll have the haptics, I assume.
Yes.
Whereas Xbox Series X has basically forgotten that they also have haptic feedback in their controllers. And they actually were the first to do it with the Xbox One X. So they seem to have forgotten that. But
Dude,
I'm leaning more towards my PS5 just because I think it'll have the cool haptic feedback and, adaptive triggers and all that. But at the same time, I have less storage on my PS5. So I'm kind of like, I don't know.
Well, see, it's telling me I know that I bought them because I just don't remember where I bought them. So wherever I bought them, I have to go on that system, and I'll let you know today. I'm going to look at it.
Yeah, I remember you telling me you bought them and pre-ordered them and all that. So I'm curious.
And I like those slow, methodical games where you kind of have to work your way out and think about things. And I love the Hitman games, Uncharted, Tomb Raider, stuff like that. So much fucking fun for me. But Hitman 1 and Hitman 2 just look so good. They're so well done.
Did you see the trailer for Hitman 3 for the Dubai level that came out like a day or two ago?
Oh my god, I did. It's beautiful, dude.
It's almost like IO Interactive went ray tracing. Let me show you something cool and ray trace everything.
Yeah,
everything was shiny as shit. And I drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, dude. Oh my god. Dude. I got it on PlayStation. So get it on the PlayStation because I'm gonna tell you right now, playing the first-person shooter games, and I'll triple check that when we get done. But playing the first-person shooter games, playing Madden on the PlayStation with the haptic feedbacks when it's included, dude, it is so nice. It just
what's the haptic on Madden? Just out of curiosity, because I have it on Xbox.
So Madden, whenever you're going to pass, you can feel you get the haptics on the controller, so you can feel like the strength of the ball when you're throwing it. If you're getting blitzed, you can feel the rumble, so you know what side you're coming from.
Oh, shit!
And the controller when you're getting tackled, the controller will rumble different inside your hand with how you're getting tackled. It's
that's actually kind of game changing because if you can feel the direction of the blitz, you don't have to be looking out for it.
Yeah, dude, it's fantastic.
Man.
And that's why I got it on Madden was for the haptics. And playing Call of Duty, for instance, or not Call of Duty, Borderlands 3, the haptic feedback with gunplay is fantastic because you got a different you're literally your R2 trigger is different with the handgun, with the shotgun, with everything that you get. It's just different, and it rumbles different inside your hand when you shoot when you pull the you got a pistol, you pull the trigger, it feels normal. You pull a shotgun, the trigger is hard to pull, and you can feel it, the pop for the trigger, and it rumbles different inside your right hand. It's just crazy.
See, that's funny. I used to, the last generation, I bought all my third-party games on Xbox because it was the more powerful system. And
I did the same thing.
I assumed it would be the same thing going into this generation because, the Series X is marginally more powerful than the PS5, whatever. I thought I would be purchasing all my third-party games on my Xbox. But, I mean, if Xbox doesn't get their shit together and start utilizing their haptic feedback and adaptive triggers more, then it's going to be an easy decision which third-party games I buy on what system because I'm going to have an additional layer of interactivity on the PlayStation 5.
Yep. I mean, and it's there. It really, and it's so well done. I don't think anybody expected it. I think PlayStation Xbox. I think, lack of a better word, Xbox won't invest much time into that because Xbox also likes to be the system for everybody. They have like their giant controllers for people in wheelchairs, people who don't have hands. Like they try to build all these other kind of
the adaptive controller or whatever it's called.
Yeah, the adaptive controller. Yeah, so with that, I think that Xbox tries to focus on again something for everyone, and PlayStation again just wants to add that extra special layer. Yeah. Which for Microsoft, they're like, yeah, we can invest a couple millions of dollars into get a new controller, or we can just buy this Dirt franchise and buy out our competition.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next thing. Gotham Knights. Did you read about the gameplay details?
I'm looking at it right now, and it's kind of cool.
it can be played 4 players, but the developers said, look, we intended for this game to be played with 2-player co-op. This is the best experience you're going to have. Now, granted, this does not mean you can't play a solo. They did say you can play solo, and yes, you can switch between all 4 characters, but not on the fly. You have to go back to the Belfry to switch characters. Now, that's all fine and good. The coolest thing about this entire article that I read about is that, say I pick Batgirl and I spend an hour running around Gotham doing, missions as Batgirl, and then I go back and switch to Robin. Robin's level will be where Batgirl's was when you left off. They said if you're choosing one character to run around the game as, the other 3 characters aren't just sitting around the Belfry with their thumbs up their asses. They're also out in the city doing stuff and leveling up alongside you, which is the best news I've heard. Because I fucking hate games where I have to switch characters and like the Avengers. I'm level like what? 100 something with Ms. Marvel, but when I go back and I have to play with Cap, he's level like 12. That's a huge problem.
It sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
no, and I like that.
great
I like
news.
that, dude. That's fantastic news, and I also like too that they're trying to make more of a story-driven multiplayer game as opposed to a multiplayer get on there and just shoot a bunch of shit game. So I think that's cool because there is a game that EA has. It's called Escape, I think it is, or Escape 2. It's Escape, and it's a multiplayer online game where you have to try to escape from prison and work together. And it's like the only other one of these that I've ever heard of. And I think this is cool because there's a lot of good stories that you can play that are compelling, that are great with 2 players where, like you play The Last of Us, or when you're doing Uncharted, you got your brother running around with you and you have to work together. That would be cool to do that as multiplayer. It just makes sense.
I assume you're going to get it on PlayStation 5 for the haptics, which I am.
Yeah.
So we're going to play together. I call Nightwing.
Okay, fine. I'm on the shark.
What?
No, I'm on Raw. I'm on Batgirl.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Because she has the purple costume, the purple and yellow in this one, right?
Yep, and it looks absolutely amazing, and I'm going to pick Nightwing because of that ass.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, dude, I'm kind of excited for this game, dude. And again, with the controller on PlayStation 5, it has built-in communication, so if you don't have a headset, you don't have to worry about it. You can still play and talk to people.
Oh, that's right. I completely forgot about that because I've had my microphone muted ever since the day I got it.
Yeah, but no, it's
So
cool.
that's
Like,
cool.
when I play
That's
with
cool.
my brother,
Yeah.
we
So
play
I
Call of
bought
Duty
those earbuds for fucking nothing.
Absolutely.
I bought the earbuds to play Avengers one time with you, and then I never touched them again.
Yeah, I got these super nice Lucid ones that I don't ever use, so it's okay.
Yep. Yeah, that's all right. All right, shall we talk about 2020?
Yeah, we got a little bit of time.
Because
Where to
I don't
start?
know what the fuck happened in 2020, but it happened, and it just
We can
seemed like
start
as we
with-
progressed through the year, it just got worse and worse. And I'm not just talking about gaming or movies or any of the shit we normally talk about. I'm talking about life in general. It just got weirder.
Just in California alone, we went through COVID, wildfires, fire evacuations, unbreathable air, lightning storms.
Civil unrest, which happened everywhere, to be fair. So
Yeah, civil unrest. Let's see.
we were doing great with COVID, and now not so great. Apparently, our ICU capacity is like 3%.
2020 has been a year.
Did you?
Yes.
Gotta interrupt. Did you see that Match.com commercial with Satan?
Oh my God, with Satan in 2020. Yes.
Yep. 2020. Call me 2020. Yeah. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, dude. Oh, it was the best commercial that could have been done. It's
Dude,
great.
I would never skip that commercial.
No. And it's so funny. And I think Ryan Reynolds wrote it too, which is even better. It's just
Did he
funny as
really?
shit. Yeah, he had something.
And
Yeah.
my favorite
It's just-
part is that Satan looks like how you would imagine Satan from Diablo.
Dude, it looked like Satan from Tenacious D is what it looked like. I was like, dude, this Satan just looks badass.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
it
at
was
the end, where he's
so
like,
fucking
I wish
funny.
this year wouldn't end as the freaking meteors are hitting.
It's the meteors are at the bridge and the meteors are just crashing down, everything else. Oh, dude,
man.
it's a fantastic. That's a good fucking match. That's a good commercial, dude.
By the way,
That
fuck
right there was the best way.
Match.com. Fuck Match.com, because back in the day, like a year or two ago, I was talked into signing up for 6 months, which is not cheap, by the way. And then they had a deal where they were like, look, we're running this deal. If you sign up for a 6-month subscription, if you're not matched up by the end of 6 months, we'll give you another 6 months free. And I was like, all right, well, that seems like a pretty cool deal. So I went on Match.com, did the profile and everything. Had like one date, never matched up with anyone. And at the end of the 6 months, I was like, okay, I'm ready for my free re-up. And they were like, oh, no, we decided to cancel that program. So you're being charged for another 6 months. It's already done. I was like, wait, what? No, because I have the original thing here that says, I get the free 6 months. They were like, nope, not honoring it.
Oh, that's dirty.
Yep.
Dude, which is
kind of turned me off to the whole
like,
online dating thing, especially if you have to pay, because now I'm like, I kind of got fucked by Match. Huh?
What about the other ones, eHarmony?
I don't know.
About,
if I have to pay to use it,
50.
then I don't really want to do it anymore. The most action I got in the 6 months was being fucked by Match.com.
You should try going on Parler. There's a lot of weirdos out there.
I'm not that desperate, dude.
All right. Yeah, good point.
I do draw the line somewhere.
It's a very thin line, and it's pretty far back, but it's definitely drawn.
I mean, at this point in my life... At this point in my life, I would let a lot slide, but not that. Oh, man. But yeah, 2020, man. Where do we even begin? I mean, we don't need to get super deep in the weeds because everybody lived through it, no matter where you are in the world. I have a friend right now that's in the UK, and I mean, look what they're dealing with,
Yeah.
Well, but meanwhile, they're having fucking concerts in Taiwan, so I don't know.
Well, this just goes to show how American 2020 was, is that WWE spent all their time and money and focus building digital screens so everybody could watch wrestling virtually, and Japan spent all their time and focus to get people to stay home and wear masks, and they were able to do Wrestle Kingdom 12 in front of tens of thousands of people in a stadium.
Yep. To be fair, and I understand, there's two reasons why it works in places like Japan and South Korea and Taiwan
absolutely.
and all that. To be fair, two reasons. Number one, they're not as dumb as us. They trust, a little thing called science. And number two, they were already mass cultures to begin with. We all laughed at them for decades and decades. Oh, look at these silly people with their masks on the subway. But they kind of got the last laugh because they're fucking having concerts right now in Wrestle Kingdom. And we're not.
Yep.
And we're dealing with a 3% ICU capacity right now. Yes.
So, I have a feeling that we're going to get there. It's going to happen. It's going to take us some time, but we're going to get there. And it's crazy to see it, to see that happening and be able to see that. It's just so jealous to see that happening. I'm
so jealous because the Motley Crue concert I'm supposed to go to, I'm positive is not going to happen.
I was supposed to go see Post Malone March 19th.
I remember.
And everything went on lockdown March 16th. And they canceled the concert the 18th. And I was like, come on!
Yep. They rescheduled it's Motley Crue, Def Leppard, Poison, and Joan Jett. It's the sort of thing where I'm going to get to see this once in my lifetime. Yeah. And they postponed it to September 2021, and I'm looking at the state of the country right now. I'm like, I'm not going in September 2021 because they're going to have to cancel it again. And then by 2022, I promise you, someone in Motley Crue is going to have an OD. And I won't get to see them ever again.
Because they can go travel in other countries and do music, just not America.
They could, but I'm not going to freaking France just to see the Motley Crue.
Well, then you're missing out because they have great wine.
Well, this is true. Maybe I will go to France. Fuck that, huh? No, you know what though? It's not just an American thing. If you look at the trends that are going on with how countries are dealing with COVID, it's a Western civilization thing.
It is.
Because all of Europe, all of America, Europe, and all these Western, quote, first world countries were better than everyone else. Well, when it comes to a pandemic, apparently we're not, because all the freaking Asian countries and stuff, they're fine.
No. Well, that's because they're not trying to spend all their time to make their country number one and the best in the world. They're just trying to keep their country safe. So
right, I don't see any Taiwanese storming their capital.
Well, no, why not? Because oh boy.
You know what's funny about Taiwan though? Since my parents are my parents are Chinese, but they left. My family left and went to Taiwan with the whole communist takeover thing happened and all that jazz. So they're essentially culturally from Taiwan. And every couple of years, you'll see like their Congress in Taiwan doing their, elections and all that, and it always boils down to like a slap fight in the chambers, and it's the greatest thing.
That was in the movie The Cat in the Hat. Remember, she's like, let's watch Taiwanese Parliament, and they're all they're fighting, and she's
That's right. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Man.
Oh, that's funny.
I don't know, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, 2020 was a bitch cocksucker fuck of a year, man, and it just needs to go away. And 2021 has not started off any better. And from
I
wildfire,
told everyone
from breathable
so.
air to fucking oh my god, to raiding the state capitol, to movies being delayed, to people dying, to deaths, to everything you could think of. It's just been one shit fuck ton of a year, and I'm glad it's gone. 2021 is already off to a terrible start, so I just like to think that this is 2020.5, and it'll eventually.
If you
just
had
go
told
away.
me in December of last year, which was only a few weeks ago, but if you had said, hey, 2021's coming, and we all know realistically it's not going to get better right away, what do you think is the worst that could happen? I would never have said, oh, within the first week an attempted coup. I would never have said that.
No, but you know what though? If they say that if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat yourself. And if we look at what happened January 3rd, 2019, America forces did a drone strike on al-Baghdadi, who's a very bad guy. He's a monster. Now he's not anymore because he's dead. And we almost started World War III. And that didn't work. So why not just try to start smaller and have your own civil war?
Yeah, seriously. And it's that phrase, if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it, is so relevant today. It's always relevant because, just of the quote itself. But it is so relevant now because everything we're seeing happen in this country has happened. It's in the history books.
Yep.
It's like we just want to go through like a greatest hits of the 1800s or something.
And there's nothing wrong with appreciating your history, but I would much rather prefer to make history. So,
and
it's
not in
okay
this way either.
Right, exactly. And it's okay to look at your past and realize, hey, man, things weren't the best, and we've grown from that, and we've changed. So we should look and we should give different people different honors. We should give people, we should name a base after somebody who wasn't a Confederate person. Maybe not change names, but maybe give somebody change a different base. Do something. Make sure that take the Disney approach. Make everything inclusive, because when you look at America just has everybody. We're a giant melting pot. We were built off of immigrants. We were built off the backs of slaves. We were built off the back of white supremacy. We were built off of the elite. We were built off of conspiracy theories. All of this is a part of our history. Yes. Does that make it right?
Not if you're in a certain half of the country.
Right. Should we get rid of this and just try to fucking forget it? No, we need to learn from it. But should we praise it? Should we honor it? Fuck no. We should not praise it. We should not honor it. We should not sit there and praise somebody who looked at a human being and figured they were 3/5 of a person because they look different. That person should get no respect and no praise. It just doesn't make any sense.
Isn't it insane that Andrew Jackson is still on the $20 bill?
It is. And you've done great things, but you've also done horrible things. And that's about cancel culture and blah, blah, blah. And this is where, I don't agree with cancel culture. You can't cancel everything. It's just,
I completely agree with you there. Yeah, cancel culture has gotten out of hand, and it's kind of a joke now. But yeah, I agree with you there.
It is, and I hate it. And everybody wants to cancel everything. And y'all going to canceling everything, and then we're going to end up wearing silver jumpsuits because clothes are going to become offensive. Then we're going to have to shave our heads. Then we're not going to be able to have genitalia. Then we're just going to turn into little gray aliens that landed here. Do you want to be little gray aliens? Because that's how you get little gray aliens. Don't do that.
I think that worst case scenario of what cancel culture has become is what conservatives think of liberals.
I'm thinking
and
right
you know
now,
it's our own damn fault. Mm-hmm. You there? Oh, I think we lost connection again. Mr. Josh.
Yeah, you're here.
No, that's weird. We just cut out for a little bit. I wasn't able to hear you. Anyways, I'm glad we're back.
It did. Yeah. Now, everything was good. I heard you for a second, then it cut out, and I was like, all right, we're going to hang out.
Hey, at least we didn't have to reestablish connection, so that's good.
Oh, yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
So what were you saying?
Oh, you know what? I'm getting all worked up. Let me just put a bookend on this episode with this. In 2021, can I please see the new James Bond movie? That's all I want. Let's start there. Let's start with the new James Bond movie. Let's play Gotham Knights together. Let's hope you know we get a handle on this virus and can start reopening things like in the East. But just I want to see the fucking Bond movie.
And also, look back on 2020, and it was a terrible year. But we got great movies. We've got new streaming platforms. We've got better reach to internet and to resources than we've ever had. There are
we got
so
new
many
consoles.
Right, we have new gaming. We were blown away by technology. It is now more convenient than ever for anybody in this country. Not anybody in this country, because clearly not, but for anybody to get groceries and have them delivered if they don't feel safe going out, or being able to get what you want. And we've seen so many positive changes happen in 2020 that we cannot be remiss to think that everything was bad. Was it shitty? Yes. Was it terrible? Yes. Was it the worst year we're gonna have on record? More than likely, it's going to be up there in the top 5. But we had so many positive changes.
At least in our lifetimes.
We started this podcast last year. I was able to work from home, and while it sucked being here every single day because you lose your mind because you're stuck into these small paces, I got to watch my kids grow up and be here with them.
Yeah, I get to be here every second with my kids. I mean, even though they're only half the time, it's more time than I would have had if I were out.
Right. Like, I would have been on the road last year, 6.5 months, 7 months traveling for work, and I would have missed all the stuff that I would have been here for. So there's so much cool to it, and being able, again, to have this podcast and play more video games and watch more movies. So I'm just hoping that we can take into 2021 the positive shit. Keep focusing on good stuff. Don't stay off Twitter sometimes. Put the fucking phone down. Play a video game. If you haven't in a long time, man. Download a Pac-Man. Just download Pac-Man. Buy yourself an old school fucking joystick console somewhere. Get it off eBay for $100. It's got 30,000 games on it. Play up your TV and play Pac-Man for 5 hours.
Nintendo Game & Watch is back with the original Mario. Get that.
Yeah, find stuff that you can do in 2021 to make yourself happy. Be creative, be fun, be spunk, whatever, man. Like, last year sucked. Don't let that shit be into this year, and try to focus on positive, man. We're going to get a new God of War. We're going to get a new James Bond. We're going to get WandaVision in 5 days. We're going to get the Loki TV series. We're going to get Winter and Falcon here. We're going to get the Paper Girls is getting made. We're going to get an Amazon Lord of the Rings TV show. We're going to get fucking Justice League, the Snyder Cut. There's so much positive just in pop geek culture alone to keep us happy for the next 5 or 6 months. And
I'm really glad you like Paper Girls, by the way.
Oh, it's so good. So good. It's just, dude, 2021 is going to be fun. Just buckle up. Hold on, man. We're going to hear about aliens in about 5 months. So let's just roll with this.
Yep. And let's take our lessons from Star Trek First Contact and not Independence Day.
Please. Our Mars Attacks. No doubt.
I fucking love that movie. Oh man! All right, I think that just about wraps it up for today. It was I'm glad to be back, Josh. I'm glad to have jumped on for the past 2 hours with you. I kind of needed it.
Absolutely, man. And guys, we promise we will be more on schedule with our podcast.
Yep. Blame the holidays. I do.
Absolutely. And don't forget, WandaVision is in 5 days. 5 days.
And from what I hear, it's been getting rave reviews so far. I'm very much looking forward to it.
I read one headline that said Paul Bettany is a comedic genius on this show, and that's it. It's good enough because anybody who's followed Paul Bettany's career knows that he is very, very, very funny British comedian.
Yep.
Not comedian, very comedic actor, and his older roles of him just being funny and being himself are great. I can't wait for this.
Yep. So everyone buckle up. We'll be back in 2 weeks. And my name is Tony. You guys all know this, I hope, after like 2 years of me doing this. You can follow me on Twitter at ToneZone81, TONEZONE81. Mr. Josh.
My name is Josh. You should know this. If not, well, now you know. And you can follow me on Twitter at BruceBane66.
All right. And we will see you guys next time.
Later, Gators.